What makes a great kitchen? Well, there's three things, and if you do them in this order, your kitchen will work fabulously, will look fabulous. So let's get to it. First up is the layout. You've got to get the layout right. You've got to figure out who you are and how you work in the kitchen, where you work, when you work, with whom, in order to lay out the kitchen correctly. When it comes to choosing your kitchen cabinets, most people out there are choosing them ass backwards. When I start with a new client, we never talk about what color or what door style or what handles they're going to put on their cabinets. I don't care. I really don't. What I care about is that you choose the right box for what you need it to do. So the first thing you have to think about is how you move, how you work. Who works in the kitchen? How many people? What you need, what you have to store, and then we can get to all the pretty stuff. So first up is the layout. When you get the layout right, everything else will fall into line, I promise. So you need to think about the big three, the fridge, the stove, and the sink, and their placement. And you want to make it so that when you are designing a kitchen, the idea is to be as lazy as possible.
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
When you're designing a kitchen, you want to minimize the amount of steps you take to do a job so that it's more pleasant to be in the kitchen. So the less steps we have to take, the less places we have to go look for things, the quicker we're going to get the job done. So the first thing you want to think about is the layout of your kitchen. Where are the big three going? The sink, the stove, and the fridge. And what needs to go near it? What things do we have that we have to store? So near the fridge, I know that I want some landing space. So I take something out, I can drop it here. I can take it out, I can drop it here. Above the fridge, we've got some vertical storage there because it's easy to reach. It's the only thing that I find useful up above there. What else do you need when you go to the fridge? Do you need a bowl for mixing or a strainer for washing off whatever you took out? When you consider what you're going to do near the stove, you can figure out what kinds of things you need there. So I know I need pots and pans, new ones because of the induction. I'm going to need spatulas. I'm going to need tongs. I'm going to need stuff like cooking utensils. On the other side, again, more pots and pans, colanders because I might be straining stuff. And I've got my spices and more. In here I've got spices. So think about what I want beside, what I want near this stove. When you get over near the monster sink, what do you need? I need dish towels. I need the dishwasher. I need trash. What else do you need near your sink? You definitely want to have a landing zone to drop things, to dry things off, dishes to be waiting. Now you'll notice I have this monster. And my reasoning for this was because I don't want to see that stuff on the counter. I want it to go in here so dishes waiting to be cleaned can sit down here and I don't have to look at them. I just see a nice clean countertop. When I'm at the sink, I want the dishwasher nearby. I want cabinets to put away my glassware and drawers to put away my silverware, my plates, and my bowls. When you are in a particular location doing something, what are you going to need? And plan for that. And when you're planning out where your major appliances are going to go, think about how you're going to move from one to the other. How is it easier to go from the stove to the sink or the sink to the fridge? You're going to need to think about the limitations of your space too, where your windows, your doors, access, gas lines, water lines, that kind of thing. If you're building new, the world is your oyster. If you're renovating, the space may dictate where some things go. So for instance, we have this extra large pass-through to the dining room. Now, it used to be a window. So it's a monster. And in order to make it make sense and not have to cut more concrete, I found this beautiful 45-inch workstation sink. So It fills the space. It looks deliberate. I still have landing space on either side. Dishwasher here, trash here, plates and bowls, silverware nearby. Let's move on. Once you've figured out the layout, then it's time to pick some cabinets. And that's the door styles, the box itself styles, and whether or not it's doors, drawers, pantries, pullouts, and all the bells and whistles that go with that. At this point, I'd be thinking about, what do I have? What do I need to store? How do I want to store it? For instance, in here, I don't have a lot of uppers. I've got 2 over there, 1 over the fridge, and 1 in the corner. That's it. So I need a pantry. I've got some wall space. I'm thinking about looking for a piece of furniture or something like that for my dry goods. But at this point, I don't know where they're going. They're in drawers all over the place and we can't figure it out. Think about how you want to store it. Do you want a pantry near your fridge to store all your dry goods? Do you want to store your dishes in drawers, or do you want to store them in cabinets up above? How do you like to store your stuff? Do you want everything on pullouts or drawers? I've got these nice big drawers here which hide this drawer in here, so I get less of a busy look with a lot of handles. So when it comes to choosing the boxes, you've got to think about a couple of things. First of all, European, whether it's a full overlay, a half overlay, whether they're inset. And then the door styles. Do you want shaker, raised panel, a slab? When it comes to the door styles and the handles, that's purely decorative, and that's really up to you. What you want to consider at least, is the style of your house, the furnishings in your house, and how the cabinetry can complement that. So in my kitchen, I've got these beautiful cabinets from Star Mark, and I've got shaker doors, I've got flat front drawer fronts. In this house, I've got some antiques that I love. I've got some more contemporary pieces, and we've got some pretty clean lines as far as the windows go. So I wanted to have cabinets that would have a little bit of a transitional feel, if you will. So they've got a traditional element with the shaker doors, and then I've got the flat drawer fronts on the big drawers for pullouts. When you're choosing your cabinets, context matters. So look at your house, look at the style, look at your furnishings, and choose something that's going to complement that. Or choose something and change everything else. A sleek, glossy cabinet would look funny in here. So think about the style of your house and what would be appropriate. When it comes to trends in the kitchen, be very careful. Cabinets are expensive and they're hard to put in. They take a long time to get here. So we want to choose wisely. We want to make a decision that we can live with for at least 10 years. So cabinets are a high-value, long-term choice. So we want to choose wisely. This is not a disposable, we're going to change it in a few years. This is a long-term investment. We want to choose something that's going to evolve, that's going to let us change the knobs perhaps, or the countertop or the backsplash tile, and grow with us. We don't want it to look dated like gray. And cabinets are not a place to get crazy experimental. When it comes to kitchen cabinets, the dirty little secret is that they're pretty much all the same. They are a box that you store your stuff in. So what it comes down to is the quality of the cabinets and the details. The extras, the light rails, the open shelves that match the cabinets. But down here you can see the footed base around the island. The added molding details that finish off and hide an imperfect ceiling. The side panels that cover your fridge. Most kitchens look beautiful and function well because of the details, because of the thought into those little tiny extras that make the difference. When you pay attention to the details, the finishing details of the cabinetry, You can take a basic Home Depot box and elevate it to look like a custom cabinet, adding toe kicks, molding, light rails, inserts for pullouts, and no one's going to know the difference until they pull the drawer out. And by then you've already won. The design language of your details matters, and it can direct the conversation of how you want your kitchen to appear to everybody, how you want the end product to feel. Remember that the design language that you choose, the fixtures, the finishes, they should repeat themselves so that we understand the language. It's like feeding a kid broccoli. You have to do it 7 times, 14 times, whatever, before they stop throwing it across the room and eat. So when you repeat design details, it makes it feel more cohesive. It directs the design conversation. So for instance, in my bathroom, we repeated the reeded handles, the reeded knobs, the reeded glass, and there's reeding in the light fixture. When the details make sense to each other and speak to each other and repeat the same elements over and over again, the room starts to make sense to each other. So for instance, in here, I've got some black in the sink fixture over here. You can see in the faucet. It's got a little bit of black here. So I've got black or gray somewhat in the unpainted hood. I've got some black over here. There's black in the countertop. So the elements are repeating itself. And this light fixture picks up the amber and picks up the soft golds and browns of the walnut. You can see the detail in this here that's picking up the gold and the black again. We have golden, we have golden black in the faucet. We got some black new appliances, and you can see some black specks in the granite as well. When you go into a well-designed space, you don't necessarily register that everything talks to each other, but your body, but we feel it. When you go into a space and it just feels right and everything is within reach, it's been designed well. It has nothing to do with the materials. It has to do with being thoughtful about how you're going to use the space and where you want to have stuff. When we repeat stuff, like the gold and black in the faucets, the gold and black in the sconces, the gold and black in the handles, it's good feng shui, it's good qi, good energy. It helps us to translate the design language we're trying to convey to whoever visits our kitchen. So things make sense. We don't come in, it's not Beetlejuice's house and we walk into a traditional cottage and bam, it's a modern contemporary mess.
If you don't let me gut out this house and make it my own, I will go insane and I will take you with me.
When you use similar elements, it helps to make the design more cohesive. It feels more custom, thoughtful, and well designed. Get out there and design a kitchen just for you. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.
Oh my goodness.